Hello, everybody, and welcome to a game analysis on the highest paid goalie in NHL history, Igor Shesterkin. While you can debate if a goalie should be making 11.5 million, it should come as no surprise that he's the one to hold the monumental contract as the pinnacle of goaltending. Ever since his dominant Vezina win, Shesterkin has continued to be at least a top three goalie in the regular season in the past 4 years, and really shines as downright the best in the playoffs. Since then, he's amassed the fourth most games, a league best 928 save percentage, and has amassed the highest goals saved above expected, even more so than Sergei Bobrovsky, who has made three cup trips and played for indisputably better teams. This video will be detailing every notable shot from a game late in the season against the Washington Capitals, where we will get to see the most electrifying goalie in hockey on display. Shesterkin starts out on the faceoff springing into a ready stance. He likes to get low so he can power into a butterfly really quickly. But here, Wilson isn't really in a position to shoot. The Ranger D man is contesting him. Wilson is looking down, and he's making a drag that he's not really going to be able to take a shot that well after finishing it. But Shesterkin rushes into a butterfly early, his first mistake. He gets up ridiculously fast, but now he's reaching for a poke check when Wilson is making a slot pass just out of reach of the stick. Now Dubois has got it in the slot with a wide open net because of those 2 seconds Shesterkin spent biting early and mistiming a poor poke check decision. With the play starting in the corner, Shesterkin gets a quick head check and spots a relatively open Alex Ovechkin. Knowing that Ovechkin is there, it allows him to track the pass much quicker. He pairs that with a quick route as well. He remains deep here because in doing so, he is able to get his feet in position, square to the puck, and in a ready stance much faster, allowing him to read the shot better. Trying to get to the top of crease would likely leave you off angle and or not in a ready stance, making it more difficult to track the shot. So, the depth trade-off here is very acceptable. This is an interesting approach to this kind of rush situation. 16 here was getting pressure to the outside and got suffocated on the boards, meaning that he was never really a threat to shoot. Shesterkin is starting really deep, unorthodox for rush off the bat. But because he started deep, it's easier for him to move from low to high, and he's able to get to the top of the crease on the pass, where if he started high, he likely would have had to end up deeper. Challenge him forces Lars Eller in deeper. Shesterkin easily matches his speed and adjusts backwards. Eller makes a move to the backhand, and based on how his hips are kind of open, it seems like he's going to continue in that direction. In order to go back forehand, he'd have to plant his right leg, and it's not in that position to do so. This makes it a safe guess for Shesterkin to slide with the puck and projecting his glove on top of it to stuff the shot. You see this kind of upper body movement a lot from Shesterkin, and something I really don't like. Perhaps my only gripe with him. And I get it, he's one of the best in the world, but I still think it's a bad habit. He loves to play super relaxed and won't engage early, and at times it causes him issues. His saving grace is when he does engage, it's extremely quick. Here, the shot isn't dangerous, but he kind of has to make an awkward stretch save because he was engaging whilst the puck was released. Again in the corner, he starts by taking a head check and scanning all the passing options. See how he's initially got his left leg swung out in position for a butterfly? Well, when McMichael loads up for a pass, Shesterkin already begins swinging his leg back. And through the pass, his left leg swings even more and is literally on the goal line. From here, Shesterkin can easily push and bring his trailing leg around much more quicker, making him square and in position. But he's actually also grabbed a lot of ice on this movement with how he traveled through the crease because of how he initially started. On the PK here, Shesterkin is playing deeper in anticipation of inevitable passes to come so that he can easily adjust his position. Again, also playing pretty upright, it makes him lighter on his feet, but with no knee bend, he's not prepped for an impromptu shot. Anyways, John Carlson gets a one-time pass and shoots a high glove, and Shesterkin easily puts that away. Here's where I think Shesterkin's upper body movement and also his glove touching can start to hurt him. Just as the release happens, Shesterkin is just getting set. And because he spent that time getting set when it was happening, he was rushed and reacted with his glove a little weirdly in what he normally should have caught rather easily. This drops the puck in front of him, obviously not immediately in danger because no one's around, but the bad habit is showing where it could become a problem in worse situations, like if someone was in front of the net and could pounce on the rebound. Here's a really good example of a simple but correct post play. Since the carrier is on his backhand and in the deep corner, there is no threat of a far side nor good shot, which allows Shesterkin to be on his feet and flat on the goal line. This allows for a few things. If the puck came into an area where it would be dangerous, Shesterkin could easily swing his right leg to be square for a shot. But since it's not, it's better to be flat to give him an advantage in moving off the post for a pass. Staying on your feet is also important for this distance as well. It's better for movement in the crease, but will also just fully protect the short side up high. And most RVHs aren't very square to shots, which can leave the far side very vulnerable when a goalie really shouldn't be in an RVH. The carrier enters the rough area when a goalie should realistically only be using the RVH, and that's exactly when Shesterkin goes down. A perfect seal, a 45-degree angle to account for the player to walk out and shoot far side, but not so aggressive where he can still swing his leg back really easily and react to a pass. There are a few keys in playing a screen shown by Shesterkin here. First off, I prefer trying your best to look around screens because your body is more engaged for the shot than when upright, as long as if you lean the right way. Ideally, you try to stay as neutral as possible, but in certain cases like here, you do have to lean pretty heavily. The shooter is left-handed, so it's better to look on the right side of the screen, and given that the traffic is so heavy, it would be pretty difficult to get a good shot off to the glove side anyways. I don't think the shot actually hit him, but he tracked it through the screen well, but had a slight overreaction in his recovery, take him out of the crease, which could have gone poorly, but it didn't. Here, Shostarkin starts in a good position, aware of Mangiapane darting to the slot, but still not engaged in his stance. But all of a sudden, the pass comes and Shostarkin goes for the old time extended poke check, something I absolutely hate. Poke checks are an extremely risky move, especially one of this magnitude, and they have to be perfectly timed and be perfectly placed. Shesterkin is not really in the proper position to poke it, and in doing so, he's completely opened himself up and is just not fully engaged for the shot. He completely whiffs on the puck, and Mangiapane brings the puck across, and now Shesterkin is sliding and he's completely open, its stick still extended. When Ovi gets a hold of it, Shesterkin's stick and arm are still fully extended, opening up so much space right under the elbow, you might as well have a sign saying, "No, please, after you, Mr. Ovechkin," who has never missed that opportunity in his career. On the PK again, Shesterkin is playing deep for more efficient crease traveling due to the increase in passing. When Strom has it at the dot, Shesterkin is in position, but still a little taller and deeper. This is because Strom isn't showing shot at all. His eyes are down, not looking at the net, and hips and stick are fully open to Tom Wilson in the slot. So Shesterkin doesn't really have to challenge, nor does he have to be in a low ready stance. When Strom passes it, Shesterkin easily anticipates it, and all he does is just make a single step and then widen out. He knows that from this spot, Wilson is likely going to shoot, but he could pass to Dubois. He gets in his ready low stance for better reaction to the shot, and he's deep enough where he'd easily stuff a pass to Dubois in that exact same low stance. His depth opens up space on the high blocker end, but Wilson has the puck in tight and his feet are pretty narrow, hips are closed off from the blocker side. This is likely meaning that he's much more likely to shoot low or glove side and wouldn't really be able to get a good enough shot to hit that blocker side. So his depth here is fine. On a point pass from Carlson, Shesterkin again is staying very upright and his hands are relaxed at his side while the puck is well in motion. Like I talk about frequently, this is a bad habitat, and just because Shesterkin is doing it doesn't mean that everyone should. It's hard to process and quickly react to shots when you're still having to set yourself during the shot. So it's always better to be somewhat engaged. Now, Shesterkin might be the quickest goalie in the world, especially in terms of processing and engaging. So he doesn't get bit all the time for this happen. But even here, he's forced into a deep slide to compensate, when he likely could have made it on his feet, or maybe just not be as deep if he were to be engaged from the jump. Here, the puck gets thrown towards the net, and Shesterkin naturally wants to go down to cover the bottom half of the net in case of deflection. But what's important is that when he realizes it's not immediately going on net, he springs to his feet so he gets more control over his movement. He makes a strong push and gets low and on top of the puck, moving laterally. A likely shot here is to try to squeeze it in glove side. So Shesterkin slides into post, wants to seal that toe, and he leads with his glove, slightly dropping it to get to the post first and sure up around that elbow area. The only really other shooting option here is going 5-hole to the far side, so it's important to snap that trailing leg down. And that's actually exactly what happened, and Shesterkin nets himself a save. On the rush in overtime, Ovechkin comes barreling in. He starts cutting to his right, shifting his momentum that way. He drags the puck behind him and has his hips and shoulders open to the glove side with his bottom hand down the shaft. This means he's likely going for a straight shot to the glove side, as crossbody in this position would be much more difficult. And to toe drag it in to maybe go to the blocker side, his hand would have to be much higher up the shaft. We also know that this is Ovechkin, so automatically he's going to want to shoot. And the only other capital as a passing option is very high and covered by a Ranger, allowing Shesterkin to safely hold his ground and challenge Ovi. Ovi's stick pushes through straight, aim right for the glove, and Shesterkin is in perfect position. Now, this is a great and athletic glove stop from Shesterkin. It requires him to go very low and stretch fully out just to get it. But in reading the shot and tracking it, he was able to get it. If he doesn't fully process it that quickly, that puck is hitting the pad and you wouldn't really be able to control it. It would land right in the slot for Ovechkin to collect and likely score a goal. Again, in another rush situation, Chikrin comes in with the puck. He loads the puck back and you can definitely see McMichael, but he isn't really fully looking at him. He could go for a pass in this position, but with the way he's loading the puck, a shot seems a bit more likely. And with McMichael covered by a Ranger, Shesterkin can feel more comfortable challenging the shooter as Chikrin is more open for a shot than the pass is. Chikrin's legs are facing the back wall and his hands are pretty low. So it seems, like Ovi, that he's going to push it directly straight, which will land directly in the center of Shesterkin, which requires less hand movement and just for him to close the elbow so it can't squeak through. Late in OT, Strom and Wilson come in on a 2-on-1. Shesterkin initially starts at the top of the crease to challenge Strom, as Schneider could disrupt the pass. But because he lays down, Strom is able to toe drag around him, completely opening up the lane to Wilson. Shesterkin lowers himself and starts to adjust backward to account for Wilson. Because of the toe drag, Strom has the puck really in close to his feet, so it becomes even more likely a pass will come, as it will be difficult to generate power from there. When it does happen, Shesterkin extends flat through the crease, and Wilson scores. By no means is Shesterkin to blame here, but because he attacked it by moving pretty straight across the crease, it's a little easier for Wilson to shoot around him. Perhaps if he slid just a little bit deeper through the crease, he'd be able to get a better piece of the shot and potentially send the game to a shootout.